Hey everyone, just fixing the light here. Put this down. All right, that's better. Sorry. So I was just watching Starkey Farmstead, and unfortunately, their dog Hammer got shot by someone like with a rifle. Um, Dog's okay so far, but they may have to like take care of the dog on their own. And so I want to share this for them, but then also who knows? Who knows? Somebody else out there might be able to use this information. So several years ago, more than 10 years ago, maybe 14, 15 years ago, my son was I don't do I have to be careful with the words? Um, um, he did get SHOT. All right. It went in his hip area, and for him, lucky it went straight through. Um, there wasn't a lot of bleeding. Took him to the hospital. Now, if you don't know, I live in Cambodia, and so he was visiting me here in Cambodia. And while there are some modern hospitals, there are other ones that are very primitive in how they administer the medical care the best they can. Um, and so there's not always a lot of bells and whistles, even though the doctors have knowledge and are giving good care. So I think this experience might help people that maybe for some reason don't have access or can't go to a hospital, and they have to deal with this on their own. Um, so I was there the whole time, and I can tell you exactly what the doctors did. Okay. Hey, Ratanak. Um, so anyway, when he got to the hospital, um, they didn't have to worry about getting out the bullet. So that was one good thing. But I think the care afterward uh, is going to be the same uh, regardless, as far as preventing the infection and everything, and how you clean the wound. All right. So that's what I'm here to tell you about. Um, so one of the important things to remember when you're dealing with this kind of wound is you don't want it to heal on the outside and not be healing on the inside. So they actually needed the scar tissue to build from the inside out. In this case, there were two holes, one on each side. So they would take a they would take gauze. You know, they had like scissor clamp things, and they would wrap that with claws. I mean gauze. Okay. And so they would wrap it with gauze and soak that in iodine, and then push it into through the wound. So you've got a hole, and they're pushing it through um, to the middle, basically, right? And because they in my son's case, they had to do it from both sides. If you just have one hole going in, then it would apply, but just in one direction. So they did this at least twice a day, um, and pushing the gauze in with so it's soaked in iodine, and they're pushing it in, and till it gets to the middle, and then from this side, and then as the scar tissue starts to build on the inside, then it wouldn't go in far, right? And until it got to the exterior of the skin. I'm talking about, I know this is an odd subject, um, but I'm talking about if a person gets, um, I'll write that. I'll just write it here. Um, Okay. Um, and then how you clean that kind of wound. Um, so like that's kind of like the most important thing. So if you have antibiotics, you could take the antibiotics. Um, I don't have experience with actually getting the bullet out, but I could imagine, you'd have to follow the trajectory of the hole. And a lot of times, because I did a lot of research on this when he this happened to him as well, um, that it can go in different direction. It can go in different directions. So you just kind of have to follow the path, I guess, until you get to it. Um, and another thing, yes, I am talking about healthcare. Yes, um, is that sometimes damage is done by the shock waves. So it's not always just. Um, I don't want to say this word. I don't know if writing it and is the same as saying it. I don't know. Um, but the projectile is another word we use in English for what I just wrote. So you go until you find it, I guess. Um, the friend that I mentioned, um, whose dog this happened to, it's in the leg, and she doesn't see any kind of exit wound where it came out. Uh, but it looks like it didn't go. I mean, it's probably still located in the leg, and the dog seems really healthy, is able to walk, and that she's tired. She's or he. I think it's a he. Um, the dog is in pain, but is doing really good for having this happen to them. Um, so I'm talking more about the aftercare. So once you get the projectile out, um, you're going to want to clean, you're going to have to clean the inside. Wherever the path of the projectile went, you have to get gauze, you soak it in the iodine, and you have to put it in there as far as it goes. And you have to do that twice a day. And as the scar tissue heals on the inside, you won't be going in as far each time. It could take weeks um, for this process to heal. But I have been through that. And maybe for somebody, oh no, it was my son, Ratanak. I see, because you missed the very, very beginning. Um, this happened to my son, and he's okay. Uh, it went in his hip area, and it went straight through. So um, the projectile, I'm going to use that word for what I wrote down, bullet. Um, I'll just, because I think YouTube might not like me saying the B word. So I'll say projectile. I think that will be okay. Um, yeah, and you just have to do that every day with the iodine. That they didn't need to use anything else. Now, if you have Neosporin or something and you want to put that like for the exterior of the wound, great. But I'm telling you, they only used iodine and it worked. And it there was no infection. Everything healed up exactly the way it was supposed to. It was so simple. And I think being in Cambodia, that's the case. That um, the simple way is sometimes all they have. And even though there are modern hospitals available here, um, that's the way it was treated. And so I want to pass that along. I couldn't just write that in a comment, you know. Um, but the important thing is to remember and I would have never known this unless it didn't happen to my son, because it happened to him. I know that it has to heal from the inside out. You don't want to just like, so you don't want to stitch it up. You know, you have to let it, you have to do this process of cleaning it out twice a day for as long as it takes for that scar tissue to come to the front, to the top of the skin. And then you can stitch it up. But that could be weeks. So you, of course, you want to, after the process, after you clean it, then you put a clean bandage on it to keep any dirt or anything like that. And like I said, then you might want to apply Neosporin on the outside, or an antibacterial cream or something. Sure, go ahead. But really, all you need is iodine. That's all they used, and it worked. And here, actually, they call it betadine. They don't even call it iodine. And I even have, like, I always keep this one. The light, maybe. There you go. It's called Povidone, first aid antiseptic. And I always have this because I have 8 cats. And so it's inevitable that sometimes you get a scratch or something. And immediately, boom, I put this on, put a Band-Aid over it, done. You know, and there's no infection or anything. So I know that in the Western countries, in America and the UK and Australia and whatever other countries, we tend to get, you know, I don't know, I think it comes down to marketing and money, that there's all kinds of different products that we're told we need to use because the companies want to make money, when really iodine is all you need. Yeah, he's fine now. This was years ago. This was at least 10 years ago, maybe like 14 or 15 years ago. And he's fine. He's fine. But it took a while, you know. It took a while for that process to happen, where the scar tissue starts from the inside and then comes out. That's the biggest point. That and the iodine. But like if you just had tweezers or some kind of instrument to use to wrap the gauze around, and that you can push inside, along the trajectory of the wound, as far as it'll go, and you know, it was painful. He didn't like it, and they were like, it. The gauze is soaked. Gauze is a type of cloth. It's spelled like this. Uh, like that, if you wanted to look it up. Um, they didn't just go in and then out. They were kind of like making sure that iodine got around all the edges as they were going in, and as you know, maybe just going in, maybe then, no, they kind of, yeah, going in, coming out, and they didn't give him, I mean, at that point, they didn't give him any painkiller or anything like that. Maybe the first time, but when he had to come back for it to be done twice a day, he just, you know, was not happy. He was moaning and kind of crying a little bit, about it. So it's not pleasant. It's painful, but that's what has to be done. Um, and so I guess I don't need to make this very long. That's all I wanted to do, was to share that information. And I hope it helps my friend with her dog. And I have confidence that she's going to be able to take care of her dog, based on how the dog was looking in her video and her live that she just did. And, you know, I have confidence in her, and I'm praying for her. and for the dog and for her family and for the situation. Uh, so that's it. And so as I like to end all my shows, let me just say that love, scientifically, love transcends time and space. So wherever and whenever you're watching this, I love you. I really do. And okay, I hope this helps. Bye.